As China's leader launches a campaign to strengthen the Communist Party, much of Xi Jinping's rhetoric is resembling that of Chairman Mao's. I'm Deborah Kahn. Joining me now is Yiching Wu, who's an assistant professor from the University of Toronto, joining us now by telephone. Okay, Yiching, there's been a lot of talk around this new leftist movement in China. What does that mean today?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. The new leftist movement is a movement that emerged in the late 1990s, and it's a significant number of people who have been dissatisfied with the direction that China is going in terms of all sorts of socio-economic problems, such as socio-economic inequality, corruption, environmental problems, so on and so forth. So the new leftists, they look toward the legacy of the Chinese Revolution, the 20th century Chinese Revolution in general, and the Mao era in particular, and particularly the value of equality as sort of a kind of a critical category for criticizing the present.
Okay, and
so that's sort of in general.
Right, and Xi Jinping's father was a revolutionary hero who was jailed by Mao. So is it particularly surprising that he would be adopting rhetoric that resembled Mao?
It wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, Xi Jinping's adoption of the Maoist rhetoric, as much as Bo Xilai's adoption of the Maoist rhetoric and tactic, I would say that has much less to do with their family history. I mean, the kind of, the political attack their family or parents had suffered during the Mao era, because many other people, numerous people, had similar experience. But that had a lot to do with their political situation of the China's ruling group. Now, they adopted Maoist tactic as a way to deflect criticism or to preempt and deflect criticism. I mean, especially for Xi Jinping. So Bo Xilai is gone, but Xi Jinping is smart to invoke some of the Maoist rhetoric, even though Bo Xilai is gone. So I think this is something that, it's a political tactic.
Okay, but with China's economy developing so rapidly, wouldn't it make more sense today to modernize, so to speak, the political stance of the government to be more reformist?
Yes, absolutely. I think that would make great sense to me. But on the other hand, the Chinese Communist Party derived its historical legitimacy from the Communist Revolution, of which Mao was a personal embodiment of that very history of the of the half a century long Chinese Revolution. So the Mao era, the name and the person of Mao was it embodied the legitimacy of the Chinese Communist Party. So periodically they need to to invoke different various aspects, highly selectively, of the legacy of Mao, just to reaffirm that legitimacy, as well as a political tactic to, as I just mentioned, to deflect and preempt criticism. But I think the question of political reform that you mentioned is certainly that's something that's extremely important. But I'm not sure if that's something they're ready to do.
Okay, thanks very much. Yiching Wu joining us from the University of Toronto on the telephone. For more on that story, you can go to WSJ.com. I'm Deborah Kahn.